Hey, it's the Abstractionist. I'm doing a pick a card. This is going to be for Into Red Room. It's a love reading. It's just kind of open love. So there's that. It's not what they're thinking about you. It's not future spouse. It's not anything. It's like open-ended love. I got 3 piles, 3 cards each, and I just, whichever chakra card you're drawn to is the one. So heart chakra, base chakra, solar plexus chakra. The decks I'm using, Psychic Tarot. Then we have Kim Cran's well-known Alchemy. And then we have Mary L. Tarot. So there's that. I decided to do this reading because I want to do love readings and I love love. And working through and doing readings like this helps me work through my own love stuff. So yeah, there's that. So once again, heart chakra, base chakra, solar plexus chakra. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna move heart chakra first. So antimony, ace of swords, 5 of swords, so this one, 2023 love life, or just love life in general. So this one feels like there's someone who left like a void or a hole, someone who you're trying to pinpoint, I guess maybe the reason for them being there, particularly if they were like a nasty individual, why you would even have a contract with this. I think there might be a lot of self-blame about how bad of a person are you to have attracted someone like this, that you couldn't see them for what they were, who they really were, being unable to like discern kind of like danger a mile away. You may have been told by other people who perhaps were a little bit more attuned that this person wasn't necessarily the best, and you may have ignored them. You may have been quite young when you met this person, and this was kind of one of their earlier relationships, or it was a relationship that marked a clear transition from like maybe naivete to not even discernment, naivete to more jadedness, because of this. I think that it took a really long time to rebound from this. It took a really long time to get your mental together. You may have actually gone through bouts of mental health decline with this person, or they had periods of mental health decline. They may have had some sort of issues that they needed to get clarity on, or the pair of you needed to get clarity on. And I think coming out of this, there is just a concept of like maybe you betrayed yourself by having a relationship like this, a relationship that clearly wasn't all it was cracked up to be. It wasn't healthy. It wasn't able to progress you forward. You didn't understand what was going on. It did move you forward though. With this Ace of Swords, if you can turn it around, you can see, you can kind of get the feeling of what you do and do not want in a relationship now that you've experienced clearly what you don't want. It's a lot better and a lot easier to steer away from certain things. The What I want to note though, or say as a warning, is sometimes scenarios seem the same, but just with a different person, and you might get spooked by that and decide to run away when a situation clearly feels, and I'm going to say feels, even though there's a bunch of swords here, it feels like it's the same. I would work through a lot of the mental constructs you have, or the mental anticipation of disaster when it comes to relationships, and that anticipatory nature that you may have, that it's not going to work. So I'm going to read from the book for this card. It is 27. Oh, okay. Here we go. In medieval times, antimony, let's go with that, became known as the Grey Wolf of alchemy. This is due to the metalloid, I think it is, unpredictable qualities and its ability to eat away at materials in the laboratory. Gold is one of the few materials to withstand contact with it. For these reasons, this card must be read with delicacy. On one hand, it represents the wild and free spirit that longs to express itself in the world. On the other hand, it represents a fierceness that can turn destructive or corrosive at the drop of a hat. The message here is clear. Channel the Grey Wolf's energy toward creativity. Challenge it to come out of the shadows and express itself. Embark on the creative project or adventure that's calling you, rather than focus on why you can't. Once you begin, don't quit. The Grey Wolf responds to respect, not repression. To go deeper, read Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. To ponder corrosion as medicine. Another interpretation of this material is that something is eating away or wearing at the situation or person. Let the possibility open to deeper revelation. Like many of the alchemy cards, the Grey Wolf can most easily be felt through the laboratory of the human body. Dance, run, shake, breathe. So I'm gonna put that there for you to pause. Hopefully you can see this. So I kind of think from this, I think for me, what draws me in is more of the shadow of this wolf. And I do think you will have to kind of evaluate its role. This is definitely representative of a person to me. Its role in your life. And I think if you're talking about this metal, very few metals can stand next to it. I think that corrosive material, that rubbing off, is something that you're worried about. That how much of this rubbed off on me, how much of these bad habits, how much of this bad story, how much of this rubbed off on me, how much of it is going to follow me in the future. And that may be something that you're particularly worried about. But I wouldn't worry about it too much if you can kind of get through that clarity. You may have to do a few projects where you're talking or writing or whatever to get through it. And so move through it. Because you have a lot of mental cards, like the book says, maybe feeling it a little bit will be helpful. Although, like I said, being tricked into feeling when certain situations feel familiar is something to be wary of and aware of. So that's what I have for you, pile heart chakra. Hopefully you enjoyed this reading, and I'll see you in the next pick a card, maybe. Hello everybody, it's the Obstructionist, or Enter Red Room, really. This is pile 2. So I have different channels and stuff like that, and I forgot I'm not going to do love readings on my other channel. So this is Enter Red Room. So this is love reading, base chakra. Folks, there's 3 cards. You got Splendor Soli, Sun Splendor. You have 7 of Dis. Obstacles and challenges. Immediately, with this root chakra and all this shit going on, there is a need to clean things out, a need to figure out what's going on. You may really need to figure out what's going on. I think the 7 of Dis and this obstacles and challenges, there's just a need to get to the root cause of an issue that's like following you around for some reason, or you keep having the same issues. It could be with like money with the 7 of discs. I think it does have something to do more with your finances and your stability. It could be your emotional stability, but it could be work stability. So some of you guys probably are in between jobs, underpaid, most likely though in between jobs with this like thing here, in between jobs, or you're running out of savings for something. Maybe you may have just quit a job. There may be a bunch of expenses coming your way. With this Splendor Solis or Sun Splendor, I think that if you were to if you have moved away from a job in anticipation of like getting another gig or something like that, there clearly seems like there is a pause on that. It may not be the job that you want, or you didn't solidify something before moving on, or the reasons why you wanted to move on weren't rooted in something solid. It was based on the potential of what you could get as opposed to what was really being offered. So this could be someone who goes to companies that are like perhaps not as established, perhaps they have a culture of not necessarily being the best with finances, like, or an industry that is very prone to like fluctuation, and as a result money becomes weird. I would say with this one about love isn't really the priority. I think you'll have to love yourself enough to get stable, love yourself enough to want to work towards stability. But as far as like finding someone, I don't think that's your focus right now. I think your focus is very much base chakra of Maslow's hierarchy needs, like first rung. Yeah, so I think your immediate needs are that. Another thing that I'm seeing is in relationships, money may have been a really big issue, and it's very important for you to have a partner that's actually financially stable. I mean, that should be a given for most people, but people accept anything. Even when it's beneath what they really want, right, as a standard. And so you may have been with partners who were in the process of becoming instead of being. So they were always becoming an entrepreneur. They were always becoming employed. They were always becoming more stable. They were never like being stable, being employed, being an entrepreneur. It seems like whether it was real or imagined, there would be some obstacles that came in and deterred that. So you may have been a partner who held it down. You were responsible for giving a lot of money to the situation to like keep the situation afloat, whether it be your rent, whether it be the car, whether it be like insurance, like basic stuff. This person could have actually gotten sick, or you could have gotten sick as a result of like overextension of oneself. And I think maybe at that point of illness, you kind of realize the futility of hoping in something like this, because yeah, you gained your health back and stuff like that, but like there were certain things that were just utterly destroyed. Mainly your, I think more so than trust, just like basic respect for this person. Because I think after this person still doesn't like learn. This could be you, but you know, that's what it is. I think that yeah, I think that you've made a vow to never date broke people again. They gotta like have their shit together financially. Just make sure you're not so focused on how can I say this? This is going to go deeper. Make sure you're not so focused on just the financial that the humanity of the person is overlooked. And then likewise understand that people may be very stable but have like a lot of other issues going on. And so I could definitely see like sugar babe vibes with this. Make sure if you're attracting people where you guys are clearly in two different classes, to where with this sun splendor you aspire to be in a higher class via like a sugar daddy or sugar mama, whatever, that like whatever agreement you come towards isn't based solely in it's not so unequal that like you feel abused, you know what I'm saying? Like you feel abused in some way, or what you're giving is of higher value, perhaps morally, spiritually, psychically, emotionally, psychologically, than like money can buy. Just make sure that it's a trade-off that you want to make, or willing to make, and can like afford to make, and in terms of psychology and emotionality and stuff like that, because you could go into it thinking that it's going to be great, again looking at the potentiality, but like being very unrealistic about what this entails and what this really means, because this could have longer lasting effects with this root chakra here, like your reputation for having these sorts of relationships, or being with people for money, or having relationships where money is clearly an issue. It could be like a thing that people know about you, even if they don't know you personally or have never dated you. They may know that you date people for money, or they may know that you date broke people, or you have always had issues with money, or always are unemployed, or always in between jobs, or your partner's always in between jobs, or they've always started businesses that failed, or you started businesses that failed. Like that reputation does get around. And I think if you ever do try to build something and really get situated, it could be harder to convince people that you're serious when it comes to that. So that's what I have for you guys. Thank you for watching Base Chakra. Hope to see you in the next one. I almost forgot. Base Chakra people, I'm gonna read you this. My bad. I did the first group, didn't do you. It was like, fuck it. You guys don't need this shit. Alright. Sun Splendor. The revel in the glory of Splendor Solis. There are several cards in the alchemy deck that relate to the sun, yet this card specifically depicts the long-term effects of its radiance. Think abundance, fulfillment, and altruism. Envision celebration and collaboration, but is it possible in our complex world? The Sun Splendor says yes, one day and one ray at a time. When Splendor Solis arise in the laboratory, the alchemist realizes that kindness and generosity are secret ingredients. All other paths fall away. Through giving back to others in the world, we become more like the sun itself, radiant light and expecting nothing in return. Don't know where to start? Think someone, then think another person. Soon the alchemist finds they are not alone in their laboratory, and miracles go forth, both small and large. Look deeper, or go deeper. Look at the painting The Sun by Edvard Munch, and to ponder the divine masculine. The Sun Splendor is a card that indicates long-term overarching success and health. Though it is practiced daily, it accumulates into an ongoing narrative for the querent. Scarcity often prevents us from feeling the sun's abundant splendor. Give freely today. Give anonymously even, then take note of how you feel. Yeah, so root chakra shit all the way for this. Working on that. We're working on that, working on that, working on that. Working on what it means to give and receive, especially if it's an unconventional relationship. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Thank you for watching. Let me go to the last one. Solar plexus chakra people. Let's see what you have. Venus. The Magician. Partnerships and alliances. Really good. You may not feel as beautiful as you are. You may feel that you aren't attracting what you want, but you are sending, you could have somebody and you're sending mixed signals. How about that? You may think you're sending off certain signals of attractiveness or attraction, bringing it in, but you may really be confusing to people. The Magician, you may have just gotten out of a relationship, and this relationship really was amicable with this partnerships and alliances. So it wasn't like you have a whole lot to heal from. I think you may have the expectation that when you get out of relationships, you may have you always have a lot of healing work to do, and I don't see that. I think you may be, I was gonna say being a abused child, that's not it. Being taken in by society's ideas about breakups, and generally that most breakups are bittersweet. There's always one face don't break even. That's a good song. I like that song. Break even. And the truth is that sometimes people break up and it can be amicable. Even if they have to split assets, they have to deal with children, they have to deal with things that really can enmesh them, and the need to fight to win, so to speak, can get really intense, and people can get really angry, and people can get really abusive or whatever, defensive about it. But that's not every relationship's ending, right? A lot of people, the relationship kind of ends that way because they got their own shit going on. But I think for you, you have license to get back out there. Mainly because you may want to. I would say if you feel any sort of desperation, or you feel like the thrill of the chase is something that turns you on, I would explore that, because you could be hopping from person to person. And I would think also that I would say don't take for granted that you're very attractive to other people, because that could also run out at some point with Venus here. You know what I'm saying? You can always attract someone, you can always attract something else, a new opportunity, but don't take it for granted that you can do that. Don't take it for granted. Don't be reckless, right? Don't be reckless with other people's affections, intentions, and stuff like that. Be willing to work things out should you need be. So this could be somebody also on a more negative end who, if there's a problem, there's immediately running away, on to the next, or if they don't meet your standards. But it's really, it could be really small, superficial infractions, and then you're you don't want anybody to be in control of you, so you take control of the situation and take charge. But that could have severe consequences for people who you may actually really like. And I would just stay clear of on to the next kind of energy. You have a lot of attraction building up, a lot of manifestation building up. I think that you'll have plenty of people around, but I think it'll be one or two people that really spark your interest and really are gonna go the distance in terms of they would be more serious partners. Now, this could be a period where you're not particularly serious about dating and long-term stuff. I don't see you as someone right now who has marriage on your mind, kids on your mind. Actually, it's kind of repulsive, the ideas. So you're pretty much, I don't want to say you're not superficial when it comes to that. I think you have core values and stuff surrounding family and marriage and stuff like that, whether you're for it in your personal life or not, or for it in a more existential, larger meta discussion. But I do think that you may staying on the surface when it comes to how you attract people. And I think what you're trying to do with these like bees and stuff around is attract as many people as possible and then whittle it down. I think there may be I don't know, I wouldn't say a cheat code with this little thing here of getting to know someone's principles and being discerning enough to get to the heart of their principles. It may show up that you have scenarios that kind of get to the heart of that, particularly through like very ironic events or something like that, like events where like people could like be mildly tested or something like that, or something, you know, it doesn't turn out the way you expect, and the ways that people react may or may not be what you expect. But it's like opportunities are going to arise to let you see who people are and what they think and what they believe, and you'll figure out whether or not you want to be around them, even if it's not dating, just like being around them long term, because you may just see some things that you're like, oh my god, no, like unacceptable. I don't see you being particularly serious about stuff. If you are staying on the surface, I would say explore your perhaps fear of intimacy, or perhaps your fear of people getting close to you. You may be fearful of someone stealing your light, or getting enmeshed in relationships where you dim yourself down, or you have to get down to the core of who you are. And it may be that you don't know the core of who you are, and so that getting a relationship deeply forces you to kind of call into question like some things that you would think would be established within oneself before getting in a relationship, what you stand for and stuff like that. But I think the situations, the tests that come along to show you other people, kind of will give you a green light to agree or disagree with that in your own life. And so it may be that you may not have very serious relationships, but you will have relationships that kind of, through your own green light or red light or yellow light, with them, show you your own principles, which is kind of interesting. And so perhaps you're not really ready. The reason why this yellow card comes up, perhaps you're not really ready for relationships because there's just aspects of yourself that are missing, and you need to experience and you need to establish them through relations with other people, which is kind of interesting. So we're gonna go to Venus, which is 4. Boop. Venus, with the arrival of Venus, the senses open as if for the first time. It is the planet of pleasure, of touch, of sensual delights. Yeah, Venus is often depicted as romance or eroticism between people, but it can also be experienced as an all-out love affair with Mother Nature herself. Aphrodite emerging from the ocean is a classic example of Venus imagery, as is Cupid with his bow. No matter how old or jaded you are, when this card appears, it's a sign that attraction is at an all-time high. The laboratory is alight with love. You may be in love with the work, with the materials, with another person, or with the world itself. Seeing beauty in small moments is a sign Venus is in balance. An obligatory, reminder that pleasure and pain are usually found intertwined. To go deeper, recall the last piece of art that moved you, revisit it now. To ponder, the language of embrace. To get Venus, get physical. Break open your paint set or pick up an old instrument. Get your hands dirty. Don't do it to achieve something. Do it for the experience. You'll know when Venus has gone awry. The senses lead us toward excessive actions not congruent with our heart. It's likely we'll regret it the next day. So you may be just someone who loves love and loves that feeling. And like I said, you may be chasing a high with it. I think perhaps slowing down and being more observant if you should want to solidify relationships, will help you to root them. But yeah, I just, with this description and what I've already felt, I don't feel like this is a particularly serious time for you in love. I think that it's a time of experimentation, and yeah, I don't see it as being serious. I think you really, with the solar plexus, are more wrapped up in self, not in a bad way, but more wrapped up in self and feeling good and stuff like that. But there's a little bit of intimacy, like fear of intimacy with that I'm picking up. So yeah. All right. Thank you, Pal Solar Plexus, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and I'll see you in the next one. Maybe. I don't know.